NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast. And here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Notts and rock.
And welcome to another video, NRC-047 over YouTube. This week, we've got some really good friends of mine. Honestly, these guys are amazing. And their music, go and listen to it. Go and listen to it now. No, listen to the podcast now. Actually, no. Go hit that subscribe button and ding that bell. Anyway, let's check out the chat. Right, welcome here today. We're in the old salutation in the Cromwell Snug, and I usually introduce people, but I think I'm going to let Brett introduce who I'm speaking to.
Well, you've already said my name. Right, it's Brett and Pauline from the Medea project. We're probably your resident Sapphires now.
Sapphires,
yeah.
Oh, yes.
South Africans, yeah. Actually, wait, there's, what's his name? I can't think of his name now from 10 days later.
Yeah.
So there's three of us in Nottingham.
Just three? Four. I'm sure there's a couple more.
There's four that count, three that count, and a fourth one who we'll deal with because she's from Memson, Texas.
Yeah.
So do you have like clandestine meetings at some point to make sure that there's no extras about the place?
Be tempting to. Well, maybe they're clandestine meetings to see how we can actually take over the place.
Well, fair play. I wouldn't blame you on that one. So, yeah. Okay, so as you heard, we're talking with a band today. So would you like to explain what your band is about and the type of genre that you are?
You go for it.
We love this question because we don't have a genre. We play what we want to play.
Yeah.
As long as it's dark.
Yeah.
We play whatever it is that we play. So yeah, we don't aspire to be any genre at all.
We were classified the other day as Gothic Doom Rock, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which kind of is right-ish if you squint.
Yeah, I would say the same.
Yeah.
If someone held a gun to my head, I would say that. Otherwise, if I didn't have a gun to my head, I'd just be like, they play music that sounds fucking cool, in my opinion. But that's my decision, isn't it? And stop blushing. Okay, would you like to kick off and give us a quote of inspiration?
Quote of inspiration, adapt or die.
Adapt or die.
Yeah.
Fair play.
It's pretty much something that the two of us have had to live with.
Yeah, it doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
Yeah. Move country.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Had to set up lives again, just make a go of it.
Yeah, so it's been... Yeah, we have not had a very conventional lifestyle, as you would say. Our lifestyle has been very unconventional. So, it's hard, but I think it's worth it, though.
Yeah.
I tried conventional once and I got bored, like, after a couple of months, like, all there is to it. So.
Yeah, you were married once, but then you got better.
Yeah, there was that too.
I tried to be normal once and now I've got rid of all the pictures off Facebook, I think. So what brought you to Nottingham then?
Okay, and you better answer that one because it's actually your fault.
Fault?
Yeah, we were originally in Kent, so we were right on the other side of the country.
Prime banker belt.
Yeah, spending a lot of time in London. And then I ended up getting a job up here. But we had also heard the music scene for us was a lot better up here than it was where we were staying.
Oh,
because
right.
bankers don't listen to metal. We were the weird kids.
We used to walk through town and people would be like move their kids away.
Yeah. Stay away from them, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Oh no,
no, too late.
Exactly. So and also like to go watch bands was a nightmare because you had to go into London, but then you can't stay through. I mean, you couldn't really stay out till 2 a.m. because you had to get the first train.
The
last train back to Cairns.
Yeah.
So usually
Midnight.
about midnight you had to rush back because it was way too expensive to get cabs and stuff like that. And forget staying in hotels in London, it was far too expensive.
I know that one completely. Having spent quite a bit of time very close to London and then travelling into London.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So up here, so when we moved up here, I mean, it's been pretty cool. There's been, I think at one point we were at gigs and stuff just about every single weekend. We were just not at home. It was like there was always something. It's still very much like that, but we don't go. We still go out a lot.
Yeah.
But we it's not all the time because the band also takes up quite a bit of time now. You know, more so than when we first moved here because we were still trying to get things going. But now it's kind of going. So we have to be quite specific about time, and we also try and get out of Nottingham to go watch bands as well. So not only just watching them in Nottingham, but also going to other places to go watch new bands and new venues with new people.
Which sort of places?
So we went to...
recently we went to Goth City, the Goth Festival up in Leeds.
That was great, yeah.
It was a weekend festival. It's not big, I mean, because, Leeds has that massive goth history on it.
Yeah.
But the actual music festival, they basically run it, I think it's the Saturday, and then the following week, the Friday and the Saturday.
Yeah.
But it's in this tiny little, like, hippie co-op venue you have to pay to be a member of.
Oh, right.
But they basically, that money goes into upkeep, and they support the homeless and stuff in the area and that. So it's like, it's a pretty decent cause. It's a great little venue. It's kind of reminded me a bit of the Chameleon meets the Maze.
Yes, a bit like that. It's
Yeah, it was this little like back room you ducked into, like with all the pillars and that, like the Chameleon, but quite a high stage, really good sound.
Yeah.
So again, like
and it was quite a nice vibe as well.
Yeah.
Really nice vibe.
Yeah.
So we met some cool people there, and then we've been to this. We went to Derby for the first time the other day. We went to Sitwell Tavern to go watch some death metal.
That was the second time.
We had not been to Sitwell.
No, first time Sitwell, second time Derby.
And then where else have we been? We've been
Brum a few times.
Yeah, we've been to Brum to go watch some bands there.
Been up to Sheffield.
Yeah, we've been to Sheffield, so
cool.
So we're trying to kind of, because it's not just Nottingham, it's kind of the whole of the Midlands. There seems to be like a lot of little bands and little venues, which is really cool.
We went to that really awesome venue in Bradford.
It was Bradford.
What was it called again?
Can't remember offhand now.
I went to watch Gotham up in Bradford, but it was like a purpose-built venue. Yeah. You walk outside the front, it looks like a sports bar. You go inside, and they've done it properly, like running lengthways, massive stage with barriers, really good PA, the bar running up the side, like nothing in the way of watching the bands. It's a large open area.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
I can't remember the name of the venue.
Yeah.
It's nice when you find a venue like that, I find, because a lot of venues, obviously, they have to do the whole make-do thing.
Yeah.
So the stages are only about a foot off the ground, and people are halfway down actually still can't see the full band. They might just see this head bobbing across the top of the crowd. And so was it
It was
quite high up stage?
Proper race stage.
Oh, good.
It was, I would say, probably was on par with somewhere like Underworld.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But cleaner.
Yeah. Oh, God. Is that place still not got clean?
You can't clean the Underworld, man. That's sacrilege.
The Underworld cleans, dirties you.
It stains your soul forevermore.
Okay. Would you like to tell us what instruments you play? Because this is quite an interesting subject at the moment.
Right. Myself, I play... As people know, I play baritone guitar and I do vocals. I also play bass, I play a bit of classical guitar. I'm self-taught vaguely on the fife. I can actually make it sound like a musical instrument. I can play a bit of record and I can play keys.
Wow.
Oh, and banjo.
I remember what you play on stage in the band.
On stage, mostly I play baritone guitar and I make lots of different mouth noises.
Yeah.
But that may change.
Yeah. I play drums, but I've done other percussion, which we'll hear about soon. And but I started off as a bassist, so I can play bass. went into keys because I felt a band was actually looking for a keyboardist, and I thought I can do that. I'm sure I can just take what I know and make like noises. So I've played keys in a black metal band before. But yeah, drums is definitely where it's at for me. Love it.
I think having seen you quite a few times play drums, it's like, wow, you just go into this zone. And
I love that.
Honestly, if you're listening to this now, go and check out the music that's coming out. Go check out the band playing live. When are you playing live next?
Next Friday, the 29th of November, we're playing in Birmingham at Scruffy's with Ye God, who are a band we've actually been wanting to play with for a long time, just because I think they're as odd as we are.
Cool. That's
They've
brilliant.
just dropped their album as well. So they've just dropped their album. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're kind of an industrial metal kind of band.
Yeah, very weird.
Have you got anything lined up for next year?
We've got some stuff that is not announced yet.
Oh, right, fair enough.
Once it's announced, then it'll all come out. But
So it's definitely go check out the show notes, get on Facebook, and definitely give a like to check out the announcements at the moment.
Yeah, there's quite a few of those coming
there's
out.
some good ones coming,
And as you will notice, this is the full band, and there isn't a bassist, which is quite a common theme I'm having on this podcast at the moment.
Yeah, you guys up here in the north have no rhythm. Convinced?
Oh,
Yeah, remember the irony is my original band, I was a bass player. Pauline's original band, she was a bass player. We can't find a bass player.
oh my God! Do you know what? We've talked so many times, and I didn't really think about that. I didn't even know you were a bass player, Pauline. So it's like,
My first
wow!
instrument, I played in a punk band. What it was called is we used to call it. We got coined the term spunk metal.
It was monkey punk.
Yeah, it was.
Isn't that a tree?
That's a
I
monkey
played
tree.
bass.
No,
Yeah.
it's a monkey puzzle.
That's right.
So I played bass in that. So yeah, my first band I was bassist. I played bass for about 4 years for that.
Yeah.
So before I went on to keys and then it was drums. So yeah, so we can't find a bass player.
Maybe
Are you still looking for a bass player?
at the moment, no, because we're actually playing with this whole two-piece thing and seeing what we can do with it and how it's going to work for us. We've got some ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And why approach things.
Do you want to delve into that or your ideas or not?
Well, the thing is at the moment, I mean, if we had to get another member of the band, whether it be a bass player, a keyboardist, triangle player, God knows, it has to be the right person.
Yeah,
I can't just be somebody just because you can play bass. It's because the thing is our music's written off each other.
Yeah.
That's the way we write. That's why our stuff is so weird. We're not a copy paste band. In other words, we don't just go, I listen to this music and this is what I'm going to play. We listen to such a huge range of music and we kind of feed off each other. And when we get somebody else in the band, it's got to be somebody with that kind of mindset as well.
Yeah.
And it's actually really hard to find. We've noticed, we've struggled a bit.
To be fair, I mean, Jethro, you're one of the few people who just got in there and jammed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just what I was going to say that we've jammed together because possibly trying to play bass. But your music is, I think when you said you're not a copy and paste band, even your rhythmic lines aren't copy and paste.
No.
And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to get my head around that.
I think a massive part of that is where we grew up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you take a band like Sepultura and you listen to all that like Latin American groove they've got in it.
Yeah.
That came out more and more with Igor. We grew up with like this African groove, which is very much on the backbeat.
Yeah.
And that is just like, it's in our music. It doesn't matter what we play. It's always going to have that African time to it, I suppose, is the only way.
Yeah, it's like it's a feel thing. We can't just say, right, we're gonna play like on a 4 and we're gonna play on this. It doesn't work like that.
There's so much swinging.
There's so much swinging stuff in our things.
I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah, I mean, even for us, when we did the album, we had to put stuff to click, obviously.
Yeah.
And it was really difficult to start
I bet
with.
you had to work out how to manipulate that.
Yeah,
click.
because it wasn't.
It was actually eventually a mindset thing.
It was a mindset thing, yeah.
Because we realised that our stuff drifts and it sways.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, well, we're on the click here, and when we hit this section, the click actually falls behind at this point. And as long as it's falling there, we're right.
Yeah, consistently.
Yeah.
I was going to say, do you know, I've had this conversation so many times on this podcast, and I have this conversation with people just talking in the pub. I'm like, the click is guidelines.
Yes.
It's not like... It's not two massive walls and you can't go outside it.
Please explain
it's
that to a
two
couple of
lines
producers.
running down the floor. Pardon?
Please explain that to a couple of very famous producers.
Oh, fair enough, I will do. I explain this all the time and I hear it all the time on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of my most favourite producers and guitarist and recording engineer Warren Hewitt will say that all the time. Yeah. And he's worked with the likes of Ace Frehley and...
Yeah. But Ace Frehley comes from the old school where music still has soul.
Yeah.
Oh, I completely agree.
A lot of modern music is all about precision and...
Technique, precision.
And it's overly clean and too processed.
Yeah.
And there was what we were listening to the other night, and the track had so much potential, but the mix sounded like 5 different instruments in isolation.
Yeah.
Because everything was so precise and clean.
Like
there was no ambience between it.
No
and things are pushing more and more like that, and that's not music. Music was something you used to do in a tribe.
Yes.
It was a bunch of people that used to start clapping or stamping or just yelling, and it was a primal tribal thing. And with all technology and the way people are going with this overly precise approach to it, it loses that primal and tribal element, which takes the beauty away from it.
Yeah.
I will suggest, this week I listened to 20,000 Hertz podcast and they did a section on beatboxing, and they were talking about how the beatbox came about because people wanted to emulate the 808 but then they found out, oh, hang on, so they used to get into the groups outside the club after the club, and someone would rap, and then someone decided, I'll make a drum beat with my mouth sort of thing. And the guy was saying it's all about swing and sway, and it's about human heartbeat rhythm.
Yeah.
And then they MRI'd the guy beatboxing and was like, shit, this is quite an amazing thing what's going off in their heads.
Yeah.
So I completely I think most and foremost, when it comes to music, it is about connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a feel. It is a feel, and it's really hard to describe. I mean, we've spoken to quite a few artists, and I mean, it's really nice when you can speak to somebody because you can't really describe it.
Yeah.
You can't really describe unless you've done it or felt it. It's really hard to describe. You can't. Well, how do you write that? Well, you kind of just feels right. I think when you change, it just kind of feels right, and it's really, it's really hard to try and describe to somebody that's not experienced that. Yeah. What it actually feels like when we just know to change something, because at that point we both just hit something and we go, right, it's time to change the beat to a key or whatever it is.
Have you watched the documentary Sound City by Dave Grohl?
I haven't yet.
No.
Watch it, because there's this one bit, I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but there's this one bit with Jim Keltner and they're talking about feel and rhythm. And I don't really want to spoil it, but I do want to give it away for everyone to go and watch this because there's so much more in it. But I can't remember whether it was Dave or Jim that said it, but they said everybody's heartbeat beats a little differently.
Yeah. And that's very true.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to do fine art in high school.
Yeah.
It was one of the things I was interested in possibly pursuing, except that I was never going to be a commercial artist because I was painting my own shit in my head.
Oh.
A bit like what I do here, to be fair. And it's just the mediums that's changed. My art teacher actually then said to me that music is the purest form of art because there is no physical element. It just hits a person's soul. And I think that sums it up.
Yeah,
and as you said,
pretty
everybody's
much.
heartbeat is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Something, same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, as stupid as this sounds, I needed to have my blood pressure checked a couple of times, and I work primarily on either 75 or double time BPM when I'm writing like my own music.
Yeah.
My heartbeat nearly every other time was coming up 75. And I was like, what? Well, I don't know which number it was, but I think it was pulse or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
Well, at
that's
least
daunting.
you're pretty relatively healthy, because that's a decent resting heartbeat.
Yeah.
He's not going to drop down.
No,
No, not yet. I'm not going nowhere. I got my axe to grind at the moment.
We might have to leave like really quiet.
Slide him in there.
So, what are your professions outside of the band then?
Right, I am what's called a DevOps engineer.
What?
Okay, so back in the old days,
Yeah.
you used to get guys who used to hide in the basement and make servers work via like voodoo and magic.
Yeah.
And a lot of them could write code and basically just figured shit out, because nothing was ever designed to work together, and we just made it happen.
Yeah.
And then you get the guys who used to write code to work on said servers, who made pretty things that most people use on computers and that. And right, I'm in the middle.
Okay.
So I look after somebody else's machine, aka a machine in the cloud,
Yeah.
which really is just somebody else's computer. And I write code, but everything I do is code. So I will code a server and then make a server appear like in the cloud somewhere. And then I will write other code that does stuff and make that run on said server. So I do.
So is that like virtual VPS servers and stuff like that?
Yeah. To be fair, really what it is a lot of Googling and pretending you know what's going on.
Yeah. To be honest, it's funny we never talked about that, because that's pretty much what I did since I was a kid, was work with computers.
Yeah.
I built my first one when I was about 6, came in boxes on Christmas Day. I'm expecting this computer. So, and then every other computer part I got came out the back of a rubbish tip or bins and
Been
stuff,
there, done
because
that.
all the companies would just buy brand new computers and chuck everything.
Because they used to be able to tip them back then.
Yeah.
I got plenty of stuff. Mine started, my mate's dad gave me a machine and said, well, if you can make it work, it's yours. And I'm going,
Yeah.
all right, go on then. And it went sideways from
Back in the day when you could actually solder the motherboards as well to make them work.
Back in the day where you actually had to understand what the little settings meant to play with dip switches and jumpers.
Oh, yeah.
I remember jumpers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take years to play with them.
Yeah, and processor had pins.
Yeah, it did. They're just contacts now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no.
And yourself?
I basically have to make logic out of other people's chaos.
Okay.
So I am an analyst, a business analyst.
Oh, wow.
So I take everybody else's mess and I try to sort it out, and then I put things in place so they don't make the same mess again. That's basically it, yeah.
That's
the theory. In
That's the
actuality,
theory.
they look at this and go, oh my God, that's a lot of work, and you make a new mess.
I just think it really suits your band, your professions, because he's, lack of a better term, an IT geek who has a massive pedal board. And
Oh, if you haven't seen the latest iteration, Jethro.
oh, we'll get onto that in a second. And you play drums like it's chaos, but it's organised chaos.
It's organised
Wow.
chaos, man. Yeah.
That is amazing. See, this is why I do these chats. Even though we've known each other for quite a couple of years now, there's still so much that people are not finding it out now because they don't sit down and talk.
Exactly.
At most, they'll sit down and they'll bitch about someone else. So, anyway, so-and-so. So, what compelled you both to be into the alternative scene?
Well, you got to understand, where we come from, it was a different world to where you come from.
Yeah, the alternative scene that we know is very different.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like now because we've been here about 8 years. So, but I know, first of all, I mean, my background is I moved around a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
Mining towns. Dad was a miner and a contractor, so we moved around about every year. You moved, new school, new house, new everything. And that was all fine. Funny enough, that was actually okay because it just becomes a norm.
And that was back in South Africa.
That was back in South Africa. And then we moved to the big city, and then everything just changed because suddenly you've got all these issues that you just didn't have in small towns. We didn't have stuff like peer pressure, and all our parents like earned the same money. Everybody was kind of in the same boat. So there was never this pressure to suddenly be better than somebody else or have
very bad
and where we came from is very much like that. We didn't find any like materialistic or stuff or anything like that. And so it was that when your whole life's kind of turned 180. And we moved to the city just before my teens.
Yeah.
And so suddenly you got all this other stuff that you didn't even know about happening around you. And then, my parents went bankrupt, just about. And coupled with massive, because we were raised to be quite independent. My mom raised us to be quite independent, but at the same time, religion came into my family. So there was this constant like push and pull from all sides. And that turned me into a very, very grumpy, angry, hateful person. Hated everything and everyone. Not much change. But and I was just trying to find my feet, and I don't know. I suppose because of growing up in a situation where everything wasn't the same as everyone. You know, like I said, we're not very conventional. I wasn't raised conventionally either. I can't fit into a conventional world. I can't. I like creative people around me. I like people that are quite strong. In a sense, that won't just follow, because that's where, because it's the easiest thing to do. I like people with a lot of fight in them. And that's what the alternative scene was like in SA, because we had political upheaval, plus you had religion, very conservative country at the time. When I was about 16, I think it was when I first started going out, being able to do that. Very conservative, no money. So, you kind of had to make things do, hitchhiking and stuff, which you can't do these days anymore. But stuff like that.
And when you say no money, we mean African broke.
Yeah, African broke. No such thing as a holiday. Like, can't afford to go.
No such thing as no benefits, nothing like that. If you're scammed, you were scammed.
You're scammed. And it was really nice because there was this group of people that you could just go to, because we had nightclubs then. So it's very different to now, where we actually had alternative clubs where other alternative bands would play. It'll just be alternative music and it'll be alternative people. But it was kind of cool because it was quite threatening. You kind of had to earn your stripes to get in there. So it wasn't like you could just walk in and be like accepted straight. It didn't work like that. You kind of had to, because it's still in the times of tape trading. Yes, that's how old we are. And that kind of thing. So you had to kind of earn your stripes. And also remember that in SA, because of the sanctions, we didn't have the music that you would have had. A lot of stuff came out a lot later. And to try and get it was really expensive.
Yeah, to know somebody. You knew somebody.
Yeah, you had to know somebody.
Over from,
whose parents may happen to travel, and they had to, and people were really possessive.
Yeah, they had to vet you, basically.
They had to basically vet you to share their stuff. So you kind of had to, you kind of had to work to be part of this group and prove that you were part of this group.
Actually, if you think about it, it's very much like your American biker culture, but like your outlaw biker culture. But music. It was very much like that.
Yeah. But it was really cool because then you'd go to these places and nobody would talk politics. Nobody would talk religion. It was all about the music. And the thing is, you'd walk in, because a lot of us didn't have massive music systems and stuff at home either.
Yeah.
And you could sit and listen to your favorite songs. Doesn't matter if you'd play them to death at home.
Yeah.
You could sit and listen to your favorite songs at 100 decibels and not have to talk to anyone. You could just sit in a dark corner and just like have this music washing all over. And for me, that was like a massive thing. I mean, I used to go out literally just to listen to music 100 like 100 decibels.
Yeah.
If I happen to get drunk or get laid at the same time, it's just a bonus night.
Wow.
But that's why I used to go out, and even now, like we still go. We enjoy our live music. I love going out and watching bands. I don't talk a lot to people when I'm out if I'm watching bands, because I'm scared I'll miss out on stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I completely understand.
So it's just like I just like to have like the music wash all over me. And even when we go to goth nights, which is just, you know, DJs, that's our knees up.
So you're not permanently angry at him then?
No.
Because you never talk when you're out.
No, I'm not. I just, you know, and that's the way it was. I mean, I used to go to a pub for a bit and you'd sit and chat for about an hour, but then I'm done.
Yeah.
You know, now I want to move on to the next thing. So for me, that's the alternative scene is pretty much, I mean, we were in it from when we were about 16, so I don't know anything. I don't know what to do with myself anywhere else. I get bored, like really bored.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You don't want to be there when she's bored, Jethro.
No, fair enough.
No.
I get destructive when I get bored. Pauline gets angry. I don't want to be there.
Fair enough. That'd explain your style of drumming, I think, very much. Was it pretty much the same for yourself?
Kind of similar. I was a weird kid.
Yeah?
My parents originally were doing okay for themselves. Then the 80s recession happened.
Yeah.
And then we literally lost everything. Moved in with my granddad. My mum was very artistic in her own weird, I'm from Birmingham, and then grew up in Johannesburg kind of a way.
Right.
So my mum was odd. And my dad always was very much like, choose your own path, question everything, just be you, which I actually took to heart. It's about the only thing I ever took to heart that my father ever said.
That's amazing.
And I think I got into metal and alternative a bit younger than Pauline. Mine was, I first heard Painkiller.
Yeah.
At my mate's house, his older brother brought that in, and that just blew my fucking mind. I was about 11 or 12, I think, when Painkiller dropped.
Yeah, you would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would never tell, but I'm slightly younger than this lovely lady. And so from then on, and I was really angry because I did not have the happiest of teenage years. I managed to get a bursary. It ended up in a public school.
Yeah.
But being the skinned kid in a public school was never fun.
No.
Yeah, not wearing the right, as Bonnie was saying, peer pressure, not wearing the right clothes, parents didn't drive the right car, all of this shit. So it just turned me into a very, very angry teenager. And I kind of...
I just need to try and relate a little bit.
Yeah.
Do they have uniforms out there then?
Yeah, all schools are uniformed.
Right, okay.
Okay, that's the thing. But then, of course, you've got socials and things like that.
Yeah.
And also, in South Africa, there's no like public transport like you understand here.
Yeah.
The distances are massive, and you just don't do public transport.
No.
And so so your parents would come fetch you from school.
Yeah.
And my dad used to drive an old Beta, because that's what we could afford.
Yeah.
But then they've got the kids there driving. Like, I still remember the one lass her dad had the James Bond Lotus. They used to go, it's the James Bond Lotus.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was great. And there were a few of us, who weren't from like the best of circumstances.
Yeah.
And we were cool. But you used to just get people used to just make your life a misery because they didn't get this concept of not everybody comes from the same background.
Yeah, it's... I honestly believe it was from what I've heard and from what I've seen from just news throughout growing up. Like, I honestly believe how much of a hardship that was. But it's kind of the same thing I experienced here.
No, I get that.
Not on the level that you had. So I completely am like, no wonder you were angry.
I still am.
No one as a kid goes to school and wants to wear school uniform. And if they do, they want to customise it. I refuse to wear a logo on my jumper.
The reason we had uniforms actually made a lot of sense because there was a disparity between the people who had them and who didn't. that's why they did it.
Yes.
When I went to my matric dance, which I think is year 12, more or less, it's like that. We finally finished high school dance. Our school was all the boys came in uniform because there were some kids there that couldn't afford a tux.
Wow.
So you came in uniform because then everybody was on a level playing field, which is cool. I get that.
Yeah.
And nobody made a thing about it. But then again, I was back in the state school.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of skewed it back again.
Yeah.
But
And that's what a lot of people, especially teenage years, they don't understand. The reason why they are in uniform is to level the playing field.
Yeah.
And, you know, coming from my point of view, especially at the time, you know, I wanted to be individual. I wanted to be different. I grew my hair, and my hair was not as long as it is now, but I grew it. People started, you know, oh, he's a girl. But I was like, well, there's four other people in this year that have got long hair.
Yeah. Well, you're all girls then, ain't it?
Well, yeah. But,
Yeah.
like, so even teachers would kind of give the sniggering remarks and stuff. And I'm like, you know, it's my decision.
Yeah,
And then the day I shaved my head to your length and left 2 long pieces like devil horns. So all I had was the fringe at the front, but I'd glued or waxed them into devil horns.
Man.
And I tell you what, the head teacher wanted to send me home. I'm like, you're going to have a go at me for long hair? You're going to have a go at me for short hair? Where the fuck do I stand?
I mean, ours was always short back and sides. That's what you had as a male at school, short back and sides.
Yeah.
But I've got fucking curly hair, right?
Yeah.
So I used to have my hair cut. And it was like, oh, your hair's over your ears. Yeah, it's because you're pulling it, you stupid twat. It's a curl. It's not over my ears until you yank it down.
Oh, dear.
And then they used to say, no, you couldn't shave your head. And I walked into school with my head shaved like this once. And amazingly, I did not get sent home.
Yeah.
Because they were going, oh, it's not curly. Because apparently having curly hair was a bad thing.
Yeah, you're the spawn of the devil, don't you know that? If my little brother's listening to this.
I think it's because they realised where my dad was from, right?
And my hair was just always a mess.
Yeah,
Mine was because my hair is like, they used to call me Slash because that's what my hair is like.
Yeah.
And when I was at school, because we had to brush it and so just frizz.
Oh, wow.
And it's like tie it up, and there's like bits of hair freaking everywhere. It's like tie your hair up, but it is tied up. It's just all falling out again.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the amount of times that Pauline and I have woken up and like our hair's matted together.
Is that why you shaved your head then?
No, because she like kept it straight, but
Yeah.
My wife keeps moaning at me to tie my hair up when I go to bed because she worries she's going to choke and die in the middle of the night. And I'm like, at least it was nice, gorgeous hair.
there's worse ways to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Are there any special mentions about yourselves or something interesting like a stamp hobby that people don't know?
Well, that stamp hobby of Pauline's actually involves a boot.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I do.
You do stamp?
Yeah, I do stamp. No, because also my drumming's so physical.
Yeah.
So I always like to make sure that that I like to maintain my
Physique.
my healthy physique, so that my arms don't fall off.
Yeah.
You know, when I play drums that are too big. So I do kickboxing.
Oh, wow.
And and I love my kickboxing. And I've just started doing aerial hoop acrobatics.
Wow.
Swing off stuff to there. Just for something else to do.
And you and I do MMA, cardio, death together.
Yeah, it's just like cardio boxing.
Oh, right.
Which is pretty cool, and we got somebody that we train with to do that, and then we go to gym together and we see who can pick up the heaviest.
Wind each other up in gym.
Wow.
So yeah, we do
athletes.
that.
No, not really.
Athletes.
It's got nothing to do with athletics. It's got to do with I drink far too much, and if I didn't do this right, I'd be the smallest house.
I was going to say I can't even run up a set of stairs without being out of breath anymore. I need to sort that out. Seriously.
No, the first time I did that MMA thing, I was lying on the ground at one point in a pool of my own sweat going, is this what a heart attack feels like?
Yeah, now carrying equipment up and down like venue stairs.
It's fun now.
Bring it.
Yeah.
We're okay.
You can see it now, like a 4x12 on each shoulder. That's what she goes.
Yeah. Wow. So I'm just gonna because I've seen you at the Chameleon Cafe. So the stairs there were no problems for you.
No problem.
I think they are the nightmare of every other drummer I've talked to.
They just narrow.
They narrow. I think the person... Actually, no, this Chameleon stairs weren't a problem for you because I always take the body bag.
Yeah, he takes the body bag, to be fair. I'm not going to that. Not for
I think the biggest problem was our old bass player who used to play the upright. He's just trying to navigate that bass through the Chameleon stairs.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And myself, I'm an old... You said it, I'm an old school geek.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have a ridiculously large collection of Warhammer figures.
Yeah.
Dating over about 25 years. I've got stuff that they don't even have in the Warhammer Museum. I've offered to sell it back to them.
For like 10,000 times the price.
Yeah.
Why not? Have you got a Titan?
No, I don't. I'm an Orc player, so anything's a Titan. I did once make an Orc Gargant out of Duplo because it looked about the same.
Cool.
Have we got Lego?
Yeah, got stupid amounts of Lego. That's her hobby.
Oh, I love my Lego.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We couldn't
My
afford it
winter
as
sport,
kids.
that. Couldn't afford it as kids, so we can afford it. It was like, buy Lego.
I've got a small box of Meccano at home, and every now and then I will take it all apart and I'll build something together. At the moment it's all in the shape of a crane, which I couldn't finish because I didn't have enough bits. And my wife sat there and went, what you doing? I'm like, making a crane. She's like, oh, okay, so it's going to go up and down. No, I literally built like a horizontal crane, like the ones you see
proper building crane
at the building sites. And then I tried to make the gantry for it, and she went, why has it got all them bits? I went, you wind one handle when the crane turns around, you wind the other handle and it goes up and down.
Because why have something that doesn't do anything?
Well, yeah, that's the joys of Meccano. Just come up with an idea and build it.
Exactly.
And that's a lot what people are missing out on nowadays, I think.
That's my thing, is I kit bash.
Yeah.
So I was like, I mean, you know what kit bashing is.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've got all sorts of bizarre contraptions that I've kind of built and like just made out of different bits of kits, and it's like, this is great.
Is it in Warhammer?
Yeah, Warhammer kit bashing. I do it with historical miniatures as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
because I did it with electronics. I've done it with audio instruments. I built
part of my pedal board. I built myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was like, well, I want to see what that sounds like, and I'm not willing to spend 250 quid on it.
Yeah.
So
I think we'll delve into that in the second half.
We won't talk about my pedal board.
We won't. Okay, we'll make a separate episode for that, because I'm sure it'll take just as long. But,
or Pauline's other drum kit.
Yeah, that too. Bloody hell. So, within the band, what hurdles have you personally faced, and how have you overcome them so far?
Within the band?
There's been a lot. I mean, it's been a hell of a thing. We came from bands, so when speaking for myself, when I came from bands in SA, I mean, the scene in SA when I was playing in bands was very supportive.
It was very close to me.
It was very close knit. So when we did flyers, you get somebody would help you with flyers, or we used to do our own, and we had people coming with us. This was before things like Facebook.
Yeah.
You had to go put flyers on cars. So you go to a pub of a night and you'd wait till later of the night when everybody was drunk, and then you just go plant their cars with flyers. And you used to do this like for weeks before a gig.
Yeah.
And and you could rope in. Other bands used to come help us.
Yeah,
you know?
whoever's on the lineup
used to come. Everybody used to go and hand out flyers, and like sharing gear was never an issue. You know, I like to play on my bass amp, so I would always make sure my bass amp was there. But it was never like a struggle to kind of organize stuff, and it was organized very quickly. We also didn't have things like promoters, so the bands would generally organize their own gigs with the venue, but because everybody went to the same venues, it was just a very
easier
close
in some ways.
Yeah, it was a lot easier in some ways, and it was quite close knit. And then it was with both my bands. And then when we started playing, because we were from Durban, and then we started to play Joburg, it was all networking. And this is also because South Africa, even now, they don't use the internet like they do here. So everything's a lot more physical. So you go to gigs, you meet people, you talk to people, you meet other bands, and that relationship kind of just builds. Mm-hmm. And so when we started playing with bands in Joburg, you know, they used to come up to Durban to play, and we used to go down there to play. And it was really cool because people used to be very supportive of each other. And then eventually it was Cape Town. So I had played Cape Town. And it was the same thing, go to festivals as well. It was really good. It was really difficult when we came to England and started playing because it's not like that here. It's quite different here.
I think it's because the environment's so saturated. There's so many bands.
There's so many bands. And you've also had it probably a lot longer. You've also had bigger bands play here. A lot of the big bands of South Africa, because it's so far away, is quite expensive. And not as many big bands go over. Also the scene, well, they wouldn't say metal because it's not metal, it's the alternative scene, so it's metal, it's goth, it's
the
all
whole lot's
those
just
things.
mashed together.
It's all kind of mashed together. Is a lot smaller. So for us it was quite eye-opening because it's kind of how we thought it worked. But it's not the way that it's kind of worked. So,
as in thought the UK
was a lot more DIY.
Yeah.
But it's really not. I mean, you work through promoters. Promoters put together certain lineups. You know, it's all very regimented, I suppose is the word. Yeah. Which is very weird for us. So we've adapted to it. I mean, we're working with a management now.
Yes.
So that's helped us a lot as well. But at the same time, we've also worked with some great bands. I mean, we have played with some great bands. The band that we're playing with next week, the guitarist there, we actually played another band that we had played with in London before. A couple of times. We played with them twice. Weird as crap, eh?
We think we're
weird. Like they were proper weird. But so we've kind of maintained that relationship. There was De Keur, who we've played with in London as well. Yeah. And they played Nottingham quite recently. And I mean, we hadn't seen them for a while because obviously they gig London quite a lot. So we don't go to London as much anymore. But they played up in Nottingham, and we came and supported them. So went and watched them, and it was lovely to see them again. And so we've kind of maintained that relationship as well. So it's very much about that. So that's been a little bit difficult because trying to just work out how things do work around here. Yeah. And also people tend to stay in their towns. It's really weird. Yeah. You've all got transport to go out of town, and everybody just seems to go, I'm going to gig in my town, and that's
what I was going to say earlier on, because you're on about we got a different areas, because you got regional accents, you seem to have regional styles of alternative bands.
Yeah, you do.
It's like Nottingham is very death and black metal, right? And then you go up to Sheffield, it's like very much like your hardcore slam stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like, but you're not even an hour away. Right? When we watched Rammstein in SA.
Yeah.
It was an hour and a half flight. We stayed on a mate's floor just to go watch Rammstein for the cheap seats and really shit sound, which we put on a credit card because we were getting to watch bloody Rammstein.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would travel up to Johannesburg to watch bands. Now, we say, just go to Johannesburg. We're talking 450 miles.
Wow.
7-hour drive. And we stood in convoys. Yeah. So what would happen is everybody would go, right, there's a festival happening in there's a festival happening in Joburg. Who's going? Are we going? So who's going to take their cars? Well, we'll take our car. We can take 4 people in our car.
Yeah.
We can take like 4 people in our car. We got gear in our car. And we used to just organize stuff like, and we used to go up in convoy.
Yeah.
And it was never, and Maritzburg, we used to go play Maritzburg, which was...
Maritzburg was basically here to Sheffield. It was an hour drive.
Yeah, it was about an hour's drive. And if there was a band playing, because they also organized it really nicely, so they wouldn't really have like the similar bands playing in Durban if there was one playing in Maritzburg. So everybody would just like all convoy together and got to Maritzburg like for the night. And nobody stayed over. So somebody has to drive back at like 4 a.m.
Yeah. They don't have a decent roadside wimpy here.
No, so it was, it was very much like that. But it's really weird, just it's like, there's nothing happening tonight.
I've got to be honest, you made me feel bad about myself now.
It's something we've just
I feel bad
noticed.
that I don't actually get out of this city enough that I should. Like you said, going over to Derby, I'm like, oh yeah, I said I was... Yeah, I still haven't done that. Derby literally is just a bus ride away.
Yeah, it's a bus ride. Or it's a train ride.
Yeah.
I mean, last time we went, we ended up leaving late, and we were looking at how much it was going to cost us to catch train tickets.
30 quid in a taxi last time I came back from Derby.
Yeah, we caught the taxi because train tickets were like 15 quid each or something.
Yeah.
We're like, sorry, let's just catch taxi.
Yeah, we just got a cab.
Yeah.
I need to get my arse in gear because the last major travel that I've done to a gig was Slayer in Leeds, and I booked the National Express up there and back for like 10 quid each.
Yeah, which is nothing.
Went and watched Slayer, managed to still have enough time to get the National Express at 2:00 in the morning to get back to Nottingham.
Yeah.
The girl that I was with at the time left a bag on the bloody bus, but that's a different story.
But yeah, for us...
you that left your bag on the bus.
No, but there was a lovely picture of me being in the mosh pit. And I do... Yeah. I managed to get everyone at Slayer square dancing to Seasons of the Abyss. And everyone was well up for it up there. So
so for us this is really funny.
Awesome.
In some ways, like for like such a liberated country, it feels really insular at times.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Since our drinks are down, let's have ourselves a 5-minute break, and then we'll get back for the Knots and Rock section.
Awesome.
Cool.
As always, if you want more content, more media, go check out NottsRockCast on a podcast player. Just search NottsRockCast.
Right, welcome back. We're in the second half with the Medea project.
Madeira now, like the cake.
Medea.
Medea. Yeah.
Medea project.
No, Madeira is a cake. It's actually but named after an island, right?
Did I say that completely wrong? I thought I was... Oh, no!
You can call it the Medea project.
Okay.
That's happened in the past.
I'm going to start off with this question. Where the hell did you get the name?
Right, so...
And pronounce it properly one more time.
Medea project. Apparently that's properly, but I'm probably saying it wrong because it's actually a Greek name. But
okay.
Many moons ago, I was playing in a band called Dr. Fox, and I had a brain fart because I got sick and tired of playing other people's songs and having other people take the stuff I was writing and going, no, that's too odd.
Okay.
Because you've heard our song structure.
Yeah.
We don't always follow verse, chorus, verse, and we go off on tangents and stuff like that. And the idea, the name, the Medea project just somehow sprung into my head at the time. No idea why, but I'd probably been reading a bunch of Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So Medea was the wife of Jason from Jason the Argonauts. She's the sorcerer. She's a sorceress. She was a high priestess of Hecate.
Yeah.
Right. And she was the woman that helped him defeat the skeletons that sprung from the seeds.
Yes.
The teeth that were sowed in the field. She was the one that distracted her father. I can't remember the king's name, when she kissed her brother and then killed him and sliced him up and threw him into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And Jason ended up treating her rather badly, and she went completely whack job. And the end of her tale wasn't pleasant, where she offed their children and threw herself off the walls of the city.
Yeah.
But it was that whole like driven and dark and twisted side to it that drew me originally to the name. And we're talking a very, very long time ago.
So it symbolises your music.
In a lot of ways,
Yeah, I would definitely say so, from my opinion. Which everyone's got an opinion these days.
Yeah, well, you're allowed to have an opinion.
Yeah, you just have to take the consequences of talking it.
Nothing wrong with that.
Brilliant. Right. Not so much the alternative scene, but what do you love and enjoy about Nottingham or Notts or Nottinghamshire as a place?
We like our family. We got adopted by a Greek family or Cypriot family, in Nottingham. Yeah. So we've only been in Nottingham for about 2 years now. And obviously it's been, this is kind of where, when we first came to England, it was all quite really cool, and you go do all sightseeing and all that kind of stuff. And then we finally moved to Nottingham, where we kind of got a normal, like a normal kind of part of life. So you go to work and you got out, we got our hobbies and that kind of thing. So we don't really do a lot of sightseeing and stuff around. But yeah, I think the stuff that we enjoy about Nottingham is pretty much more personally, so the personal stuff that we've experienced, and we've been adopted by a separate family, so we go to them for Christmas and all their family dues and stuff like that. And that's really
we've
cool.
been properly adopted. First of all, they understood where we were from, so from day one we walked in there, and the English in-laws and family members aren't allowed anywhere near the fires, right? And they're not allowed anywhere near the kitchen. I walk in, I'm given an apron and tongs. It's like, you're barbecuing. Pauline walks in, she's given a knife, she's in with all the Greek. That kind of adopted, right? So
it's been pretty cool, but also, to be honest, it's really nice that we can go to gigs. We love going to full cause gigs, so torturous promotion gig. Yeah. Nice setup, 3-4 bands, really well put together. It's a great night out. We've met some cool people. Thank you. But we have met some really cool people as well. And then of course we got our goth nights as well. So we get like our metal side, because we like a little bit of everything. We are not like, we are metalheads and we only listen to metal. Used to be like that when I was a lot younger. As you get, I
was a goth when I first started.
Bands like Sepultura and Pantera were not death metal. Like, it was frowned upon when I first got into death metal. And when they first came out, and it was like, this is not death metal. But so we embrace the gothic side as well. So we go to our Requiem nights and we have our knees up there, and it's really cool. Yeah. And that we can do that kind of stuff. And we can go home at whatever time we want, because we don't live too far away, so getting home's not a problem. So it's been pretty cool for us in that sense. So it's...
And take this as you will, the nice thing about Nottingham, it's really easy to get anywhere else.
It is really easy to get.
I don't mean that in a bad way, but it's great. It's 2 hours to London, an hour and a half to Leeds, hour and a half to Manchester.
That is exactly what Bob said from the tap. Yeah. He said it's probably like the epicenter of the alternative scene, because he can get anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
Just wish Emma would fly to like some decent airports.
Fair play. So, do you know any stories or myths about Nottingham, or something locally interesting that you found out from your time here?
No, I think you know all the dirty secrets more than we would.
I don't know dirty secrets. I don't do dirty secrets.
You're full of it.
But so-and-so.
No,
fair play.
No, we've not really... We don't know any more than anybody else.
Other than like the standard law and that.
We've gone
where the name came from and things like that.
So, because what we normally do is when family comes over from SA, because because we did so much sightseeing and stuff when we first got here, when family came over, we'd have to do it all again. Yeah. So when we moved to Nottingham, we said, right, we are not doing any sightseeing, and we'll do it all when family's here. Yeah. We only have to do it once.
Yeah. Fair play.
So we have been around here, but I think with history, I think it's just here. It's not like London, where it's kind of you go somewhere specific to go and learn something. Here, it's like you come into this pub, for instance. This is a really old pub.
Yeah.
And it's only when you're here and you kind of speak to people that you kind of find out bits and pieces of information.
Yeah.
So all the information that we have come from you lot. You know, so you already
It's
know.
like when we did the photo shoot in the caves.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Jason before, and he showed me the caves and was telling me the history of the signing of the peace treaty and all of that. And I was like, I wouldn't have known that, but because I'm talking to the landlord, that's where I'm getting these bits of history.
From. So that's where I think it's because you're so immersed in it every day, like it's part of the city itself. It's not like London where you go, well, I'm going to the Tower of London because that's where like 1,000 people were murdered and hung, which is really
and Mary was beheaded.
So but it's not like you can go there like in a pub and go sit down and have a drink and have a social, and so the stories come out like that, you know. So
London's a lot more.
Do you know what? I think that's quite interesting. I think that's quite an interesting perspective in itself. That now that I come to think of it, I'm asking this question, but then throughout the amount of conversations that I've had from being in different pubs and being in different social groups, honestly, we talk about the history and the culture of this city all the time.
It's very much an oral history. It's more, in a lot of ways, it's more traditional because the history is passed down from person to person. And some of it's myth and some of it's legend and some of it's just pure bullshit. But that's what proper history is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the people that live here, and also people have been here for, a lot of people have been here for a really long time. Yeah. So you get you kind of get their perspective of stuff. Yeah. So when it comes to like facts and fiction, I mean, I couldn't really tell you that we've learned anything, you know, or we know that like this person like lived here or this person lived there. It's not really like that. It just kind of comes in through conversation by being in a place going, oh, that's really interesting. And then somebody goes, oh, yeah, you know, this is apparently the story. But,
fair enough.
I mean, the only thing that I didn't realise, which was corrected, was the first time I went to Sherwood Forest, I didn't realise how bloody far away it was from Nottingham.
Yes, I've got Edwinstowe. Love that little place. Oh, you know, I used to live up at Ollerton, literally like 5 more minutes away from, so I had to catch a bus from there to here to come and have a drink here on a Saturday. And then I had to try and catch the last bus back. And if I missed it, I'd be sleeping in the bus station at Victoria Centre.
Oh, God.
So far, living here in Notts, what is your most favourite place in Notts or Nottinghamshire?
World.
Even I was mad. We went to Warhammer World because he kept saying to me, you got to go, because I'm not into Warhammer. Like, I don't mind painting them little figures and stuff.
She didn't understand when she first moved in with me.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that, but I don't know much about the games and all that kind of stuff and what it is. And he kept saying to me, oh, you got to go to Warhammer World. I was like, oh, God, why? Because I'm going to go see little people. And we walked, and I went to Warhammer World for the first time last year, wasn't I? Yeah. And it blew my mind. I just sat there and went, oh my God. Even I was wowed. And my mum came to visit. And my mum was very crafty. Like, she loves arts and crafts and stuff. But you got to understand, like, things like Warhammer World and going back to SA, being very conservative in the 90s, Dungeons and Dragons and stuff was really frowned upon by the church. And my mum, being quite religious, you know, she didn't know what it was, but for her it was evil because, like, you know, that church. The church.
How dare you use your imagination?
And we, dragons, they don't exist in the Bible.
So we took her to Warhammer World when she came and visited. This year, it was earlier this year. I said, and because I kind of had to psych her up for it. I said, it is amazing. Don't worry about the little monsters and like the stuff coming out guts and stuff, but it's just the little people and the amount of effort and the passion that goes into like building these things. And we took her down there, and even she was absolutely blown away.
She bought the tour guide.
And now she goes back, and she's, because my mom's like, I mean, she's not young. So she goes and she tells all these old people, like, because you don't have stuff like that there, it's really difficult for them to kind of imagine like these massive like scenery boards and stuff like that. And Mum's like, hey, you don't understand. These little people are so tiny and they can sit there and paint them like this. But it is. It really is an amazing place, even if you're not into it. It's just, I think it's just because the amount of passion and the effort that's gone into putting together something like that.
I'm going to have to put it on the list of things to do with my wife because I still haven't been there.
I thought I had.
God,
No, I haven't.
All right, well, let us know. We'll take you.
Okay.
I always need a legitimate excuse to go.
Okay, fair enough. I might take you up on that.
Yeah, just give your wallet to your wife.
No, I'm not going to get back into that.
No, trust me, in Warhammer World, give your wallet to your wife.
Never going to get into that again or model training.
£2,000 for a Titan. But you're sitting there going, I can justify this somehow.
I don't even have that much credit at the moment.
I don't need this kidney.
I have a studio. That's like, trust me, that takes enough out of me.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Trust me, honestly, I have to make sure I don't take certain cards to the music inn or else I would be walking away with something. Not that I keep thinking about a lovely orange amp.
It's simple. Let me go touch it first. If I can play it for half an hour, it's worth buying.
Fair play.
If
it
dies, it's one of the rubbish oranges.
Right, what is your most treasured musical object? And it doesn't have to be an instrument.
All of I'm so possessive over my instruments.
Yeah.
I mean, I've still got my bass, the Jackson bass. I haven't played it in a while, but it's still there, and it's still like I don't like people touching it. No, but it's just like I'm very possessive over all my instruments. My
very well-worn copy of Neil Young's Harvest on vinyl.
Oh, wow.
That to me is probably one of the best albums ever written.
Have you got it framed or?
No, I still play it.
You still play? Oh, good.
I know, all our stuff.
Oh no, it's worn to crap and it sounds bloody awful. But it's like eventually when this is like smooth, I'll look for another copy on vinyl.
As in the needle has worn all the grooves away. Wow.
Yeah. I think that was the first album that, because the thing with Neil Young is he may play Americana / folk.
Yeah.
But he's got this amazing, dynamic, messy, angry guitar style. He's never quiet in time. Remember we were talking about the whole swing thing?
Yeah.
Young's perfect at that. He's before, after the beat, but he's always exactly where he needs to be. And it's this giant organic sound. And it's like, that album is one of those timeless classics.
Do you know what? It's really struck me now. I've asked this question so many times.
You've now heard the Neil Young in our music.
Yeah, that too. But I know relating to the vinyl, saying about vinyl, and the first thing I said, because you treasure it that much, have you got it on the wall? That's not where music's meant to be.
No.
I've got 2 LPs on my wall, and I've got other LPs on a display case. I don't have a record player.
Which is fair.
And I should buy a record player. Yeah. And to be honest, I'm going to announce this in the podcast coming this week. As I said, it's going to take a couple of weeks to come out. I finally bought myself, and I'm waiting for it to be delivered, a decent CD player. It's a rack-mounted CD player. It's got I don't know why it's because I think it's DJ as well. It's got a pitch control on it.
Nothing wrong with it.
But it's going to be mounted in a sidecar that I've built.
Yeah.
And because I've been talking about this for ages, I own hundreds, more like thousands of CDs. And I don't play any of them because they're all on MP3. But I go upstairs, I turn the Mac on, and I will sit there trying to listen to music, and I'll get distracted. But if I can go upstairs, plug it into a CD player and press play, and not turn things on.
You need to come to our place on a Friday night. Because what we do is we actually sit on a Friday night. We sit there. We've got a component system. And I was going to say, if there was our most prized musical possession, it's that component system.
Yeah.
Turntable It's a stereo amp and it's a CD player.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And that's what we sit. We sit there for hours on a Friday night, couple of drinks, and we just play music. And it'll start with something. I mean, when was it? Last Friday we were listening to a lot of the new releases that had just come out. So King Diamond's single.
Yeah.
There's quite a few other things that come. Yeah, I can't remember. There's quite a few things that come out, and then we go. Then we'll start listening to some death metal, so listen to Coffins and things like that, and then we start, like, slowly as the night goes on, it starts to go into like tons. We start getting into like tons metal.
When we've had a few, the EBM and that.
The EBM, like not so much the VMV Nation, but the EBM kind of stuff comes out, and that's what we do on a Friday night. So music's a massive part of what we do. We live it. We literally live and breathe it.
Dolch. That was what I was trying to say. Dolch.
Completely understand that.
So and we love it, and I can't. And vinyl is just, it's so cool to like take a record out of its sleeve and put it on the turntable. And
vinyl's actually a commitment though, because you take it out, you put it on the turntable, you put the needle on the first groove, and you can skip tracks and that, but it kind of expects you to sit there and listen the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then turn it over. Where music nowadays, especially in digital like formats, it's kind of like, I feel like listening to this, okay, I'm done with it. I'll never listen to it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a commitment.
That having something tactile in your hands.
Yeah.
And looking through album notes and like exploring album art.
See, I did that with CDs.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was when I bought a CD, even before I got home, the first thing I'd do is take the wrapping off, stick it in my pocket, pull the sleeve out, and start reading on the way home of what I was about to listen to and looking at the lyrics.
I like to have everything done. Like, if I get a CD, I won't touch it until I'm like, I know I can physically sit, because I can only do one thing at a time. And I'm a drummer, but I've only got a one-track mind. So I can only do one thing at a time. So when I listen to, like,
how the hell are you a drummer?
No, but she's doing one thing. She may be doing one thing with four different
things. But it's like a sound in my head. But I like to, when I sit and listen to something, I like to put all my attention to it. So I don't know how I struggle, like when people are doing other things while listening to music, it just falls into the background for me. And so I don't half the time know what I've been listening to.
I think that's why I've stopped since I had to reset my iPhone, I haven't put music back on it. I've put more and more podcasts. Yeah. Because I don't see the benefit in sitting at work listening to music and working.
It's difficult.
Because I'll have to listen to the album 3 or 4 times over to try and get close to immersing myself like you said you do.
Yeah.
What I would like to ask, though, is obviously it's a really hot debate, but I want to go there because you've said about it and you've actually gone into detail about vinyl being a commitment.
Yeah.
What about the sound quality? Where do you stand on that one?
That's a tricky one. Digital is cleaner.
Yeah.
Digital's more pure, it's more pristine. Vinyl has that beautiful noise in it. It's that bit of distortion, and it just breaks up in a way that a CD doesn't, and it's warm.
Yes.
It's personally I prefer vinyl.
Yeah, it's like a warmer sound. It is definitely a warmer sound, and it's just but
it's not better quality.
It's not necessarily better quality.
It's actually worse quality.
Yeah,
I've got a Beatles record, an old Beatles record from my parents that is kind of warped, and it actually sounds really cool because when you play it, the music kind of warps, and of course it's got all those crackles, they're like wobbles, and it's got all them crackles and stuff on it, and it's actually still such a good sound. I think if everything's too crystal clear, it becomes, because your brain can't move from one thing straight into another. There's got to be like some kind of connection, otherwise it just kind of
something.
If you know what I mean, it's kind of hard to explain.
It was the conversation we had with the album artist.
Yeah.
And I almost said his name, thank God I didn't. Where we're on about symmetry and imperfect symmetry.
Yeah.
And as a human, what we see as beauty is imperfect symmetry. The human face is imperfect. It's symmetrical, but it's never right. And it's the beauty is not in the perfection, it's in the imperfections. And I think that's why vinyl sounds that much better to your ear.
Yeah.
However, cassette, you can just fucking throw that shit.
Oh, you see, I'm very indifferent about that. I kind of... It's still the same quality...
The first time you play it.
Of course, the first time you play it, but the more you play it, the more obviously the magnetic degrading happens. Well, look, I hope you agree on this. Dat, no fucking chance.
Dat had its place in a studio to get it to be put onto another format.
Yeah.
That was all it was there for.
But that was what it was there. Yeah, I like that one.
You thought long and hard about that one, didn't you?
No, not really. I was waiting for it. The joke time has come. I'm pulling it out of the pocket.
Yes, my day joke for the podcast.
So, I've completely forgotten where I was going. I was going to say something else, and now I'm just like, fuck it, ask another question. I love it. I'm honestly loving doing this podcasting. So can you name, either personally or as the band, your influential band or artists?
We don't have one.
Bands.
I've always, and it's something that I've said time and time again. I am not influenced by anyone. I am inspired by people because I'm very primal. I mean, my drumming is something that I just do. It's not, I don't copy anyone. Obviously, you pick up little bits and pieces from things you hear. You hear us, because of the type of music I listen to, my drumming will always fall into that kind of side thing.
Yeah.
I will not be a jazz drummer or anything like that. Also takes a certain kind of skill, which I don't have.
Yeah.
But I like to be inspired by people. So somebody that can play with all they feel for me is a massive thing, more than technicality, because the technicality just will come with it. If you feel something, you just do it. It's kind of really hard to explain. So it's something that we get asked quite a lot, but for me, it's never been a matter of influence. To me, it's a matter of inspiration. And because we listen to so much different music, and some of it's electronic, so I don't have a problem.
Nowadays is electronic.
Yeah, I don't mind electronic drums at all.
They've got their place.
Because they've got their place. They definitely do. There's a certain sound or a certain feel from a band that if they had a real proper drummer, you'd lose it, because I've heard it. I've heard a band that has gone from a drum machine to a real drum, and it just wasn't quite the same.
Yeah.
And so I definitely don't agree. I don't dispute the fact that electronic drums and sequences and synthesizers and stuff all have their place.
Yeah.
So for me, it's that. But I like to be inspired by people. I like people that are creative because they're creative, not because they want to be famous or they want to be better than somebody else, or
they've got something to prove.
They just do what they do, and they do it with everything that they've got. And I think when you do that, it doesn't matter if people like it or they don't like it. You feel like it's done. You're happy with what you've done because it's come out of you. And to me, that's really important, especially these days, because there just seems to be a lot of pressure. I think
pressure for perfection nowadays.
There's such a pressure for perfection, and sometimes it's not what you want, and I think it just translates very differently. And we look at the old musicians from like the pioneers and stuff. They didn't do that stuff before, Like if you listen to Hendrix and stuff like that was not done before. No. That was just something that he just decided to do, and he's now revered as a great musician. But I can promise you, probably when he did that shit, nobody flipping wanted to know nothing about it. It was really weird. No.
But it's like you take the Beatles.
Exactly.
When the Beatles first started, Abbey Road had become this glorified, amazing recording studio. And they were so glorified and they were so amazing at the time, even though the equipment back then, right, even though everybody's covenanting it as vintage now, back then it was shite. But it was the best they had at the time. And it was so good that they said to the audio engineers, you're going to have to wear lab coats to protect the equipment. You're going to have to write a book of rules, you know, sticking a drum mic inside the bass drum, right? You would have got fired.
The stuff we did.
It was only until, I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. Beatles engineer stuck the first bass drum mic inside the bass drum by cutting a hole. And
the same guy that put the guitar straight into the desk and dialed the gain just to get that jangly, disgusting gain. Distortion,
it, like you're saying there, it's this whole world of perfection, and we're kind of reversing back to that whole stale, this is the best of the best, so we're now going to have to wear lab coats.
I mean, when we recorded, we didn't follow any rules, and to be fair, the engineer we had was fantastic.
It was absolutely fantastic.
We went, this is the sound in our head. And go, cool, let's see what we can do. Right, how do you want to record this? We want the two of us in a room. Right, so you got drums and guitar. How are we recording this? Live. Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Good.
We need this. This doesn't sound right. Let's do this. And he went and did something that a normal engineer wouldn't. And we're going, this is brilliant.
We were like, we need to do something.
It was proper engineering.
It was proper engineering. We were like, we need something because we did something. We don't want to say too much, but we kind of did something, and it
didn't sound
the sound wasn't quite right. And we said some more, and he goes, I've got this mic. He goes, I've never used it. He goes, but I've never used it. He goes, I've never recorded it. I want to know what it sounds like. I mean, like, bring it. And we ended up putting out this rig, and we actually ended up using it. It's flipping great. And working with people like that, even when we did the artwork for the album, I mean, we sat and collaborated with the artist on everything. So we didn't just go, right, you know, we're doing an album, here's an album, just come back with a picture. It didn't work that way. It just, we collaborated with him in depth.
I think he wanted to give up once or twice.
But it was just like being able to have those conversations and just pass ideas around. And to me, that is what it's all about.
Organic.
Can I... So, because you're saying about this, obviously I've jammed with you and I've seen you play live. Have you still got the skins off the bottom of your toms? So you only have the top skin on your toms.
I only have the top skin on my toms, and the reason for that is because all my drummers in SA only had top skins on their drums because it was too expensive to skin everything. And also, I'm not being funny, it's a freaking nightmare to tune.
And it sounds better, in my opinion, like I said to you the first time I saw it. So how did the engineer react to that?
He was fine because I used my... I don't even think I told him. I think we just said it.
Did he not even notice?
He just took it in his stride.
He just took it in his stride.
When we came in to re-record your bell, and when he saw what the bell was, he was just grinning from ear to ear because not what people would consider a bell, but it's a bell.
Yeah.
And we're like, no, this is the bell. And he's like, oh right. He's just grinning. He's like, this is brilliant. I love you guys.
So we just threw stuff at him. That was really and I mean he enjoyed it. I mean they really enjoyed it as well because they got to do stuff that they wouldn't ordinarily do either. So for them it's cool because I mean, can you imagine going in and doing the same old stuff every day, inside, outside, every single day? I can't imagine anything more boring.
No.
Exactly.
I mean, I worked in a studio in one of my very first jobs, and I used to just do backtracks day in and day out, and it was like... And then I got an African choir, and it was like, I've got to record a choir with stereo mics. It's amazing.
Oh my God, is it Johannesburg that has this amazing studio complex out there?
No, it's not. It's actually, there's an amazing studio complex. It was really close to where we lived. It's in Kloof.
Yeah, and it's got like 3 big, huge studios, and it has one of, is it 9 surviving Focusrite desks?
Yes, the guy built it basically, I think, to record Sting.
Yeah.
He's overlooking the gorge.
Oh, is it?
But
Yeah,
it's got a village for the artists. It's got like a nature park on it, and it's like I don't know. I watched this video, and I will post it in the show notes to show the YouTube video, and it was like amazing.
If it's the place I'm thinking of, it's actually overlooking the gorge. It's really close.
Gorge was
it's
lovely.
really close to Johan, and it's really close to Anne.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
it's stunning up there.
Yeah.
So, okay, you said it's an album.
Yes.
That you've recorded?
Yes.
When's it coming out?
Early next year.
Early next year?
That's as much as you're guessing. Because we don't actually know the exact date.
Other than after this part of the interview on the podcast, I will be playing the song you sent me.
Cool.
And I still haven't listened to it, and I won't be listening to it until I record the podcast the day before. So you're going to get my honest opinion.
That version was recorded in the session we did for the album, and we're on about the live and the dynamics and the sizzle and stuff like that. So what you're going to get in there that a lot of bands don't have is a lot of leakage. Pauline's snare is going absolutely mental. The wires are rattling, and it's just leaking into everything.
Nice.
And it's
really nice.
just so, I mean, that snare of hers is so insanely lively. I love it. I mean, we're talking about things not sounding right. At one point, the engineer actually told us to put the snare back in the room when I was doing an overdub.
Yeah.
Because he was missing the snare leaking.
Yeah. So
we just had the snare sitting in the middle of the room, and I was doing a guitar overdub just to get that little bit of leak of the snare into the mic.
Oh, I honestly can talk for hours, and I don't think I probably should on this NottsRockCast podcast. But like when you're recording an acoustic guitar and you've got room ambience, right? The best thing to do is once they stop playing the acoustic guitar, tell them to stay very still and shut the fuck up. And then hit record for the whole of the track and catch the whole room ambience and flip the polarity. Yeah. And you'll kill the room ambience, all the stuff that's bleeding in, like monitors and stuff.
Yeah.
But I love hearing that. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we did some interesting stuff. Some stuff I'll share with you after the podcast.
Yeah,
but that's fine.
There's a few things we've got to share after the podcast, I think.
Yeah.
But is there anything else you'd like to say before I ask the final question?
No, I don't think so. This has been a flipping great chat.
I've really enjoyed it. We'll be doing it again at some point.
We've actually
it's
really
great to actually be candid with somebody as well.
Yeah, it is actually really nice to just sit and have a normal chat like
human beings. Hold on, let me Facebook at you.
So
well, we've all got our phones out on the table, but I've had mine on to read the questions.
Well, mine was for the answers, but I have not actually looked at it.
I was going to say you've turned up with answers on your phones, and I don't think you've even used one of them.
And mine was to look up a band name I couldn't pronounce.
Fair play. But if you believe it, in your opinion, what makes the Notts alternative scene great?
It's still there. Despite all the odds, I mean, a lot of places we've been to, there's an alternative scene, and it's kind of...
He did quote Marx.
Yeah, no, it is alternative. But it's kind of like, oh no, we're alternative, and it's alternative in dress.
Yeah,
and that's about it. Notts still has some of the old raw fuck you that the alternative scene needs.
Yeah, but I just like the fact that there's such diversity.
Yeah.
Like I said, we go to metal gigs one weekend, we're off to goth night on the following weekend, and it's really nice because we don't always want to listen to live bands. I mean, my hearing can't take it, man.
Yeah.
What?
And sometimes you got to cleanse the palate, right?
Yeah.
So it's really cool. So we like the fact that we can go and watch. Because I still love my death metal.
Yeah.
I don't listen to it much at home on a recording as much as I think it's because I like to headbang.
Yeah.
You know, and I like to move, and I like stuff in my face, and but at the same time I like to go and listen to a DJ spinning goth music, because I literally do. I dance in front of a speaker. Like, I don't do circle dancing.
Yeah.
I dance in front of a speaker and I just switch off and and I love it.
To describe the last goth night, I almost had my calf impaled by a tall, slender bloke wearing stilettos and dancing in them.
Even I was impressed.
I was going, you can pull that off. You have every right to get stilettos.
And it was great. It was really, really good. So yeah, I like the fact that we can do that, and you still have it because at one stage, I mean, we weren't very sure if there was a scene. I mean, down in Kent, there wasn't really much.
London, we went to a couple of like small venues and that, and a lot of it was very jockey.
Yeah, London's become a bit more.
Circus.
Yeah, you got to be careful because what it's become for us, coming from where, because we've been in it so long, is that at the moment, especially with a lot of the black metal bands, I think, it's become more of somewhere to be seen.
Yeah,
so what you do is you get people coming in that aren't into the music at all. And I mean, black metal is really hard to listen to. I only started getting into it in the last couple of years because it is really difficult to listen to, especially the old.
It shouldn't be pleasant music. It's not music you can sit and bop to.
No.
Black metal's meant to make you go, ugh.
So they walk in and they're sitting there taking selfies and stuff to say that they've been there, and then they kind of leave, and I'm sorry, but for me, it kills the ambience of somebody else trying to be there.
I think
It just does.
I think the first band that actually opened up.
Sorry, I've just really can't stop laughing at that. Black metal people taking selfies of themselves.
We went to Satyricon in London a couple of years back, and I really enjoyed Satyricon, especially around the Volcano area and that. I was like, it was the first time I getting to watch them, like finally getting to watch them. And we were filled with Shoreditch hipsters in their plaid and their shit moustaches, drinking craft beer, going, I'm into this band you've never heard of. Mate, this is black fucking metal.
Wow.
You shouldn't be here.
Yeah,
it's not that they shouldn't be there.
No,
but
they shouldn't have been.
Oh right, they actually
They
physically
should not have been there.
Like me laughing my head off, having this vision of black metalers taking selfies.
Yeah,
I didn't realise that was such a hilarious thing in my mind.
It is an hilarious thing, but they shouldn't fucking be there because black metal is not music for like mass consumption. It's never meant to be.
No, it was always supposed to be a little bit underground, and I think I think that was the charm of it. Come on, I mean, admit it. Like if you went somewhere,
punk, isn't it?
Yeah, punk's the same as well. I mean, look, punk's always been a bit more inclusive. You had to be willing to go 2 fingers, my friend.
Yeah,
and mean it. But black metal was not so much 2 fingers, my friend, in the same way as punk. It was very, very nihilistic.
See, I'm trying to think through a lot of the genres now, like the subgenres of alternative, and I'm thinking the likes of the British new wave of heavy metal that was designed to be out in public.
Yeah.
The power metal, glam metal. It's definitely meant to be out in public.
That was all very celebratory.
It was
black metal wasn't.
Black metal, death metal,
Thrash
wasn't really meant to be, but it took on a life of its own after Metallica. Where they went.
Exactly.
Good or bad, I don't care. I still fucking love the band.
They were one of the first, and Metallica was one of my first bands. Absolutely, like my first metal bands when I came out of the hard rock stage, because I got into hard rock first. So Guns N' Roses and that, and then Metallica came through, and then I went from Metallica into thrash, and then from thrash into death, and I wouldn't listen to anything but death metal for years, and then as I got older and less angry, now it's become more the doom gothic side, because for me that's darker. To me, it's just become a lot more darker, whereas the other stuff has become, I don't know, it was really weird watching like Obituary on a massive stage with such a huge crowd. I would have preferred to watch Obituary in a tiny little place.
I watched them at Bloodstock and I knew nothing about them, and I just was like,
think about Obituary and Underworld. That's where Obituary needs to play. 300 people max, just going absolutely mental.
I think you guys are very true to what you say, considering we've just talked about this, because I did ask you after we'd jammed, and possibly I could have tried to help out with the bass side of things, but I did ask the question, where do you see your band going?
Yeah.
How far? Because obviously when I'm going to try and get my music off the ground, I want to take it as far as I possibly can.
Which is the same thing we do, but we have a different part.
But you said you were happy to be to a certain stage, didn't you?
Yeah.
And I think if you keep true to that, it's very honest.
I want people to listen to my music because they enjoy it, not because it's the place to be, or I don't know. I like because we play with so much feel. There's nothing nicer than being on stage, watching somebody literally close their eyes and feel it with you. It's just, instead of somebody just sitting there grinning, I suppose. And like kind of like because I go mental when I watch bands, I literally go apeshit.
Yeah.
If I really enjoy a band, I don't actually watch them. I don't see half the bands that I watch. I don't actually see them because I'm too busy headbanging. And to me, if that's the kind of response that I would want from mine,
or the response I had the first time I heard Last Exit for the Lost. I was about 15, and I had my headphones on, and I'd managed to butcher my mum's old radiogram. Yeah. And I hooked a CD player up to it. Right, and I had this tube amp on my bed and my headphones on. I was listening to the Nath, and I went on a complete fucking trip.
Yeah.
And it just took me somewhere. And that's the type of person I want to be.
Without drugs.
Without drugs.
Yes.
Last Exit for the Lost on headphones. Highly recommend.
Medea was the same the first time I listened to them.
Now that you've just said that, now that we talked about vinyl, I'm going to go on my next fucking mission to buy something, and it's got to be a record player. Because I want to really take my Dark Side of the Moon LP off my wall. I want to drill the screws out of the frame that's holding it together, and I want to listen to it, whether it's got the warble, stutter, bias, wrong. Sod it, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And I think I know which record player.
What is it?
I won't tell anyone, and it will be remaining a secret because I know it's a load of fucking crap. But it's kind of one I want.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, that was it. I don't, it's not. I'm sure it's nice to play to 5 million people as the drumming circle downstairs.
Oh, is it drumming night tonight?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, you're gonna go join them?
No, there's a band upstairs.
Oh, is there a band upstairs?
Yeah, no, but that's a hand drum.
That's what I thought.
Are you sure it's not Jumanji?
I don't know.
Trust me, I'll pull it out on the mic. Anyway, as much as it's been brilliant,
Yeah, go home, Jethro.
We need to chat in another podcast for definite.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right, because we could talk for hours about this thing, but I do want to say I want to try and make a professional audiophile group meeting here in Nottingham at some point. So we'll chat about this afterwards. Cool. But is there anything else you'd like to say, or any special mentions you'd like to give anyone before we bring this to a close?
No, just thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
It's been flipping great.
It's been my fucking pleasure.
It's been actually great to have a conversation with somebody in a pub that's not bitching about somebody.
I never bitch about anybody.
No, you don't.
Never to your face.
Like a true gentleman.
Like a true gentleman.
Very ass. Right, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jethro.
Thank you very much, Nots Rockers, for listening to NottsRockCast over YouTube. If you would like to check us out on your favourite podcast player, please search NottsRockCast. And don't forget, if you're on social media platforms, give us a like, give us a share. You'll find us at NottsRockCast. Anyway, till next time, keep it Nots, keep it rocks.
NottsRockCast is an association with Regular Riot. Welcome to NottsRockCast, the Notts Alternative Scene podcast.
here is your host, Jethro D, bringing you everything Knots and Rock.